The quest for the perfect camera bag is often a long and unfulfilling journey for any photographer. We each have our own specific needs and requirements, and we all have ideals of design, fit and versatility. My own quest has had its ups and downs, finding solutions that kind of work by accepting bags that have been designed to cover most bases, but often they're let down in some way or another. I guess it's much like trying to find our perfect camera. If it hasn't been specifically designed for us, if it's not bespoke, it will never be perfect. For years, I used backpacks. Lowepro were very much the leaders in this field for many years, and having started with the Trekker series, this gradually reduced in size from the Photo Trekker to the Nature Trekker. But my favourite was always the Mini Trekker, a bag I still have, and as my cameras have reduced in size and the amount of gear I could or needed to carry has diminished, this smaller model still fits a need. Backpacks are ideal in the landscape, putting all the weight on your back, or if it has a good waistband, on your hips actually, and on rough terrain it's the best way to carry heavy gear. I did buy a Mindshift backlight model as a way of updating, but I've only ever used it once. A nice bag, but it seems I'm not really a backpack kind of guy anymore. In the city, however, I find these type of bags a hindrance, and carrying expensive gear behind you out of sight is not good practice. Plus, to access your gear means having to remove the backpack and place it on the ground. Again, far from ideal in a busy city. So for the last 15 years, I've been using shoulder bags in the urban environment. Here I find I'm needing to access my gear more often, and even if I have my camera in my hand, I'm still wanting to swap lenses or access a filter, etc. And so need constant quick access to the contents of a bag. That's why shoulder bags work better here. Plus, you can change lenses without having to place the bag down on the ground. For many of those 15 years, my choice was a cheap and cheerful Lowepro messenger bag. Its size was ideal, being able to easily fit a camera and a few lenses. It was light too, but unfortunately not waterproof, and it used a combination of Velcro and a clip lock for closure, both noisy and not easy to access. Now, each year I seem to be on a quest to carry less gear, an age thing I guess, but for the last 10 of those years I've also had to add video gear to my arsenal to make on-location videos. Therefore the bag needed to be multifunctional, so something that can swallow cameras and video equipment. Ideally I would like as small a bag as possible, but know a slightly bigger bag is the ideal. You can therefore have a pocket or a place for everything, but also empty space if required for all those extras. A place to put a lens for when you change lenses, for instance, a pocket for a water bottle, somewhere for a small umbrella for when there's the threat of rain, etc. For years, my ideal then seemed to be something that was more expensive. If my ideal camera is a Leica, then my ideal bag seems to be another famous brand. And I will tell you what that is in just a minute. But before that, let me tell you about my next group urban workshop that I'm running in London. Coming from the success of my recent Shard 360 workshop, I'm now running another one in September, but this one is based around the Barbican, shooting only black and white. Once again, this is limited to just 3 places, so if you fancy joining me and getting an insight into how I shoot urban, how I shoot black and white, and check out the amazing brutalist architecture of the Barbican Centre, then head over to my website where you can find full details and book yourself a place. Anyway, back to that bag reveal. Well, if you hadn't guessed, it's a Billingham. A bag that's twice as expensive as all the other offerings and about 5 times more expensive than my Lowepro messenger bag. But I eventually bit the bullet, took the plunge and bought myself a Hadley Pro. And quite frankly, I've never looked back. It's a great sized bag, it swallows loads of gear, but it isn't too big. It's fully waterproof without the need of a rain cover, plus, a major plus, it doesn't use any Velcro. The strap system for closure is perfection, silent but secure. It's a one-handed operation to open and close, and so easy to use. This then, for the city and for the countryside now, is the perfect camera bag for me. Of course, this isn't a rucksack. It sits on one shoulder. Actually, I use it worn with the strap across my body. I just can't seem to wear it hanging off one shoulder. I guess my shoulders are too round. This is the Fibonite version, and it's a really tough material. Too tough really, as it's worn out a few coats, yet still remains looking like new itself. So, not being a backpack, a bag that isn't evenly distributed across both shoulders, the bag hangs to one side. That bit is okay, but the one thing I don't like is the weight. I guess this is down to its waterproofing layer, but this bag seems to be the same weight empty as the Lowepro Messenger is fully loaded. Therefore, you only have to put a few items in the Billingham to make it feel weighed down. This is a real pain sometimes, as I can't carry everything that I want to. I'm forced to decide which lenses to take rather than just bunging them all in. I guess I should see this as a positive though. It forces me to carry less gear. It forces me to choose my gear wisely. Even with one camera and one lens, plus a spare, with all the other accessories I have to carry, it still feels like it weighs too much at times. But if it wasn't heavy, if I could pack 3 or 4 lenses and a whole assortment of accessories, plus water, food, umbrellas, spare batteries, etc., I know this would complicate my photography. I know I work better with limited gear, and therefore this bag constantly reminds me of that fact. Maybe Billingham know this is a good practice for photographers and purposely make their bags heavy in their design. I'm sure there's a few weights hidden in the seams somewhere. So in a way, I do have a love-hate relationship with this bag. It's a great looking bag. It may be a bit obvious as a camera bag, but I've never had an issue with that, and it's so practical to use. Even the front pockets are of ideal size for me. It's quite deep, so if I carry just a couple of lenses, I pad out the bottom layer with lighter but essential accessories that sit quietly out the way. If the bag was smaller, where would I put all of those? So I wish it was a bit lighter before I pack it with gear, but it seems with quality comes weight, and I've not had a bag that still looks this good after years of use. Now I did used to use the optional leather shoulder pad to ease my shoulder from the weight, until I realised that wasn't the answer, but instead just don't pack it so much. I now can't think of another bag that could replace it. I see others that are much lighter to begin with and are supposedly showerproof, but this one has saved me a few times lately in unexpected heavy downpours, where that waterproofing has been essential. And those other bags just don't seem as versatile or tailored to my needs. So the Lowepro Mini Trekker is still my favourite rucksack, though sadly no longer made. The Hadley Pro, I think, is the ultimate shoulder bag, and I'm glad I made the push to get one. Whenever I see someone with a backpack walking around the city, I know their shoulders and back probably aren't suffering as much as mine, but I also know I gain the points back when they try getting their cameras out. So what's your favourite bag? Do you prefer a backpack, or do you also use a shoulder bag? Are you still looking for your ideal bag, or have you had that for years and therefore I would love to know what one suits you? Maybe you have bought into the Billingham marketing, and therefore tell me what your favourite thing is about these bags. I'll see you next time.